And everybody, I want to welcome everybody to the PD Coordinators webinar. And Dr. Deborah Hargrove will be presenting today. And it's time. I'm going to hand Deb the presenter rights. And Deb, you can get started.
Great. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Hi, everybody. Once again, thanks for your patience. It's been a crazy day here, and I know it's 2018 is kicking off to be a very, very busy year for us. So we've got a lot of stuff to share today, so I'm not going to hold you up any longer. The first thing we're going to do is talk about we have on the agenda. As usual, we have our announcements. We're going to have Stephen White, our training coordinator, show you how to do custom reports. I have an announcement and some updates on content standards, what's going on in the PD portal, some Tell stuff, talk a little bit about the Teams virtual webinars, one of which is going on now, and then an announcement about the Best Plus training. So no further ado, just a reminder that we do have Genius Hour. It's the second Thursday of every month. We had it this afternoon. Laura was able to help. It was one user. I think there were 9 people signed up, but only one person showed up. So that person got that one-on-one special attention. It's a great time for you to send anyone that seems to be struggling in the portal. Glenda and Laura, when they do these, they do have 1 or 2 topics that they share, just in case someone comes in and doesn't really have anything to talk about, but just wants to see what's going on. So we always have something ready to share in Genius Hour. We have our Workforce Wednesdays webinars that are going on with Dr. Olga Escamilla. The next one is Wednesday. I was going to say, what day of the week is that? Workforce Wednesday. Next one is next Wednesday, and Dr. Escamilla is working now with some other workforce partners across the state to see if they'd also be interested in presenting some valuable topics on employment, anything to do with workforce. So please keep that in mind. We share, if you're not on the links, listservs, Links does have some free online courses that they just advertised. Are offering 16 of these courses in their Teaching Excellence in Adult Literacy series over the next few months. They're online. We understand they're all free. You should expect to spend about 2 hours a week engaging with the course material. And they do have these offered in both math and writing. So, for example, the first course, Strategy Instruction, which starts the 15th, there's a math section for strategy instruction, and there's also a writing section for strategy instruction. So take a look at these. You can contact links on the website. If you don't have that information, you can contact us directly. Oh, thank you, Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie's posted the information in the chat pod to access those courses. Everyone, I know we're all ready for Taylor. Conference hotel is booked, I'm sure you know. They did have an overflow hotel, but what I read was that closed, their available rooms closed yesterday. So I hope all of you that are going already have your rooms booked. If you can contact info@taylor.org, I believe, to get more information. Now, one of the things that we wanted to mention was that we were thinking of having sort of an informal get-together, you know, coordinators, train PD, while we're at TAY. So just curious to know what your thoughts are. We're thinking maybe Papacitos, maybe at happy hour. Harry is working with TAY right now to make sure that we don't overstep anything they might have already planned. Just know that for those of you who are going to Taylor, we're going to see if we can spend some time just to have an informal gathering and see how each other are doing and just kind of celebrate our successes of the past year. LWC wanted us to remind you about membership, that your AEL funds are you're able to purchase individual memberships to Taylor with your AEL funds. So you in larger organizations, you can certainly use your funds and, you know, one check to Taylor for a number of different individuals. But she wanted to remind you that you are eligible to use your AFLA funds to pay for membership to Taylor and to COABE. The symposium's coming up February 16th. We're excited about coming back to ESC 20 and our friends there. I checked, we had about 85 or 90 people registered. We have 6 exhibitors, and we're looking forward to, to planning this event with you and having you participate. This year, we're doing things a little differently. I think we mentioned Glenda, in her technology integration coaching program, has asked many of the tech integration coaches to make presentations this year. So I look forward to seeing all the different things that are going on across the state with tech integration coaches. I'll be sending out the program in the next week or two as we get it finalized. But I hope that you all will join us. Once again, it's free. You have to pay your own travel, of course, but there's no registration fee, and we'll be providing breakfast and lunch. So please join us at the Tech Symposium. And we wanted to remind you of South by Southwest, where some of the folks at our TWC office are presenting. That's 5th through the 8th in Austin.
Deb,
Sure.
Tiffany has a question. Can we use our AFLA funds for our individual memberships? When did that change?
When that changed, but according to Lori, she sent out some guidance that we can find. Harriet, can you find that email that had the actual documentation? And the answer is yes. The way that it reads is you can use AFLA funds for individual memberships. South by Southwest sessions related to adult ed, that's a very good question, Lorraine. Let me make a note of that, and I'm going to ask Lori and Anson when we talk next. I mean, you could grab some form of documentation and then upload it into the portal at external training in your transcript. Questions? Some new training that's available is a SOUR face-to-face training, Strategic Partnerships that Build Workforce Collaborations. This is a training that we coordinated with Tiffany Johnson at Victoria College to help us build the content. It's going to be offered very soon. They're really working on ways to identify workforce partners and how you can get them involved. And that's what this training is all about. I don't know if, let me scroll down to see if Tracy is on the call. If you'd like to share anything about this particular training. See? We can't hear you. I see, can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I'll add is we're having a training of trainers this weekend, so we will have available trainers, the description, and activities in the portal. And we just want to encourage you as a program that the way this training will be successful is when the community partners are invited to this training, and it just helps to build relationships and helps you as a adult ed program and any partners, whether it's your workforce board partners, your library partners, any other community-based partners that you have been working with, look to the future and try to build future plans. So it just helps facilitate that type of a meeting and planning those. So we encourage you to request this training when you're ready. You can. Okay, sorry.
Oh, you better now.
Okay, sorry.
And advance to the next slide because that happens to be yours as well if you'd like to continue.
Okay, and we're going to have the Best Plus 2.0 Training of Trainers on February 12th and 13th in Austin. The registration is being built in the portal as we speak, so that should be ready probably by tomorrow. The $500 certification fee is charged by the publisher. So that isn't a fee that we charge, that's what they charge, and they will be billing programs after the training for those that do attend. And we'll request billing information when we do the registration. So if you have any questions, let me know. That literally will send out an announcement that it is ready and open to go, probably to this afternoon or tomorrow, I would guess. Tiffany's asking, do you know where it will be? Yes, it will be at Austin Community College, one of their satellite campuses. Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, this was the training that folks had to be reminded that they wouldn't be certified right after the training. They had to go out and complete,
good point,
right, some training.
Yes, absolutely. Like up at the top, it says 12 hours face-to-face.
Oh, post-work. Yeah, I didn't see
right.
that. Okay.
Folks need to plan to be there all of the days, and there is post-work. And it can take 5 to 6 months or longer. It depends on the trainer how quickly they choose to get their post-training certification process done. And Cal monitors all of that. They're the ones that oversee all of that and coaches everyone. So any other questions?
Let me go in advance. Does anyone have any other questions on what Tracy's shared or the other events that we've shared or other announcements, please?
Tiffany, yes, both days are from 9 to 4. Yeah, it's a long training, and the one thing about Cal, they do a very, very thorough training. So know that the Best Plus trainers are really good to. They know their stuff, and they've been very well trained, and that is their requirement. Yes, I guess you're right. Travel on Sunday. Huh? Sorry. It's trying to get a date that the trainer can come in.
Right.
We can get the rooms, all of those things. So I'm sorry about that. I didn't really think about that, but yeah. Okay.
If they can.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy. If you have any continued questions, you can email Tracy directly on those two topics, the strategic partnerships training or the Best Plus. And Tracy, can you go ahead or Anne-Marie put Tracy's email address in the chat pod, and I'm going to go ahead and continue.
Tracy, do you want to do that? But before we continue, I see Olga had a statement. There are additional requirements after the training for Best Plus.
Right. Deb and I were both saying is that there's a lot, trainers have to practice, and they have to do some, several, like there's 20 test administrations that they have to do. There's quite a few requirements to do. That's why it can take up to 6 months, probably just 6 months would be the earliest to complete those post-training criteria before they're certified. And I did, on the save the date last week that we sent out, there was a addition in the attachment of all the requirements, and we'll send that out again when we send the announcement that the registration is ready. So we'll be sure to add that attachment again so you know that trainer will need to do to follow their requirements. Okay? I'm going to mute my email address in there.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I down the wrong windpipe. At this point, I wanted to give over to Stephen, who is our PD coordinator, PD portal coordinator as far as training is involved. And I wanted to just mention to everybody, if you didn't know this, that not tomorrow, but next Friday is Stephen's last day with us. His passion is working with international students, and if there were any job that could be designed just for Stephen, it was a job that he's going to be taking over for Texas A&M, basically in charge of international students. So, Steve, we're going to miss you. You've done an exceptional job, and I just wanted everybody to know that so they could wish you well.
Well, thanks.
I'm going to give you the ball, and Sorry, my throat is killing me. Give Stephen the ball for me, and Stephen, if you could just demonstrate how to do some custom reports.
Okay, hold on here just a minute. I'm going to, here we go.
Right.
Right, presenter right, Stephen.
Okay. Thinking that you were going to share that at the beginning before we start.
I'm sorry, I mean to upset you.
No, you didn't do that. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to be with T-Call and to work with each of all of y'all, even though it's been, most of that has been behind a computer and behind the phone and behind emails. So it's been a good couple of years, so thank you all.
It sure has. It sure has. All right, take it away.
Okay, so we've created a general transcript report for each of you to run for your consortium. And we've also given permissions recently to create your own reports. So I'm going to just touch on that report that we've created for each of you, as well as just briefly I'll touch on how you can create your own reports. But if you have any more questions or if you need more help beyond what I touch on today, please feel free to contact me and I can walk you through it. So this is my first time to present, so if I need to speak up a little bit louder or slow down, if I need to repeat something or clarify, just or ask me a question so that way I can either stop where I'm at and not go too fast, too far. I'm going to share my screen with you. See my screen with
Yep.
the PD portal. Okay, when you're PD portal, reports, and click on Custom Reports. And it's going to look a little differently than yours. Should probably looks just like this. You may have just one report that is in your folder, or you may have more than one. And you open this up. This is a transcript report that we've already set several fields to run. And when you open it up, you're on the right side, you're going to click that arrow. Now, my particular, it has been opened. So you might see something that looks more like this whenever you click on that arrow, and it may say just copy and refresh. So if you start off by clicking refresh, then you have the window that looks just like mine on the screen. So refresh. And once you refresh, you're going to take a moment to process. It's basically just getting everything all up to date within the portal. And so it may take time. And I'm going to walk you through just how to use each of those fields and to kind of what you're going to do on your own PD portal if you're not able to follow with me now.
And this is a good time, too, while that's processing, to remind people that if if the screen is too small for you, remember that housekeeping slide Anne Marie showed you. You could take your cursor all the way up to the top, to the thing where you can see that magnifying glass with a plus sign if you want to enlarge your screen.
Now, if it's time for you to look at this screen, actually, opportunities where if you click on all reports, everything will show up. But if you're just looking for the ones that have been shared with you or created by you, you can select those accordingly. And you can create new reports here under, you could create a new folder, or you can create 3 different reports: training, transcript, and user. Most of the time I would recommend you just focus on the transcript, because you can pull information about a training and about the users and their transcript. So create folders as needed to separate your different reports. And if you just right-click the folder, it will allow you to folder, and you can also create a new report from that button there. I'm going to go to where we were at. All right, so when you click on the bottom arrow, you will have different options once you refresh it. If you just want to look at the basic report, click on View, and basically give you what you will see on a document if you run the report. If you'll notice that the fields selected are the AEL grant recipient, the subs, if your consortium has subs, the training, the title of the training, the PD hours, the training type, whether it's a face-to-face or if it's a webinar, the PD query, the complete date of the transcript of the user, as well as the total PD hours. And if you look at the screen now, all you'll see is it says total PD hours, and that's because the names, if you click on the arrow next to the name, then it will show you the specific trainings that they have completed. And the hours for that training, and you kind of scroll over, it'll tell you if it's a face-to-face or if it's an webinar, the PD category, the completed date, as well as they'll calculate the total hours for that individual. And so that's up on your computer, but if you print it out directly, you can just print, or you can make it into a spreadsheet that you can use to manipulate, share, change it, or to save and print it as well. And of course, if you go to the top, you can uncheck certain fields, and it will reduce what you see on the screen. All right, so I'm going to go back. Oops. There we go. And the other option here, you can click on Excel and it'll immediately change to an Excel spreadsheet. If you click, it'll show at the bottom. Double click. The icon might open up my other screen, but they open up into a spreadsheet. That. And you can check, you can look at history, how many times that the report has been run. And now, notice I can't change this report as it is, because this report was created by me, but I'm using George's PD portal to show you the report. So therefore, because it's been created by somebody else, I can't change it, but I can make a copy of it. All right. And if there's any not noticing, just let me know.
Yep, Stephen, I'm going to jump in here. You just
Okay.
read mine. Let's go backwards from the most recent. Okay, there's two. Catherine asked a good question. Are the PD hours the sum of the whole academic year for each person in the list?
Okay, good question. As of right now, the report set up that it doesn't have a start and an end date. So what you saw just then was total hours for that individual. But we can go in and we can set the dates for the year or even for the quarter or for any amount of time. And I can briefly show you how to do that. But right what you saw was just the total amount of hours. But you can set it up to where it will give you the total hours for that particular year.
Okay, question for specific dates. I'm not sure if you covered that, and if you haven't, can you clarify, please?
Yes, you can. And we'll show you briefly how to do that. Create your own report so you can make changes as well as to specify dates. You'll first need a copy, so another report. And name how you want once you make the copy, and it's going to open up a new window. It's where it's going to give me access to go in and make changes. And if you notice to the top that this is the name of the new report, it just says copy at this point, but I can go in and I can change it and give it any name that I want. You can put in your consortium name, but I think now your consortium name may be already in title of the report that's in your PD Portal account. So at the very top, there's fields that you can enter, and we've set some of them to give you the report that you saw. And this is where you will make changes as well as add the dates. There's some other things that you can select in the report, and I won't go in detail about these now, but if you wanted to kind of sort it any certain way, alphabetically, by title, hours, individual, date, there's a summary that can help you to consolidate information, as well as if you want to share this, if you go in, click that I'm on right now, you can particular users. Click on the little tiny icon next to that and type in the person's name, and you can share this report with that individual. Click on the little plus icon next to the name, go to the bottom, and after you do that, and I'll just use this person as an example, even though I won't complete. You just click done, and that individual, and if you do not any supports to have access to the report, have to uncheck the box next to that, and it will be available to anybody else that you would like to share this report with. I'm going to delete that and go back to the filters. Each of these filters I pulled from the menu. Typically, most of these are in the transcript where I look for the category that I would like to have in the report, and I can either double click it or I can click it and drop it into the main field, and it would add that field to the report. As you noted on the past, it was added to the main menu. This is where we have the fields that will for certain criteria to get the information I'm looking for. And at the top, it is for the AEL grant recipient consortium. Each of you are given permission as PD coordinators for your consortium. However, if you want to select a specific subrecipient, if it's to have subrecipient here, if you click on the selected apply, you could choose not applicable, or for specific subs that you want to show up in your report, then you can go to the menu and click on whichever subs that are included and to show up in your report. And I clicked on 2, so 2 are selected, and only the 2 that I clicked on will show up in the report. So if I click on not at point, so that way all the subs will show up in this when I run it.
Question.
Okay.
So the recipient who you have is equal to, I'm assuming this was the HCAC group that was your example, is that correct? Do you remember who you chose?
I don't remember.
Because it looked like it scrolled down. Yeah,
yes, it is HCAC.
When you look at subrecipients, it opened all of the subrecipients, which include the ESC 20 subrecipients. So I'm curious to know if I think it should be set where you shouldn't be able, it won't show you anybody but your own recipients, but that looks like that might be a glitch because you checked, see, like Alamo Colleges is not part of that's part of 20, and some of the Amarillo, and see, I'm curious. We'll have to see. We'll have
That's
to
a good question. I'll have to test it different accounts.
Mm-hmm. But it's cool, you guys. I mean, this is print it out and take it to your next meeting.
So if you want to see the information just as you're trying to add or remove filters, if you click the Refresh button, go ahead and give you that information that you can look at and see while you're working on it. Those of you that have asked about the dates, the way that I found to do this is if you go through and you look for the training start date. Sometimes it helps to just type in what you're for.
Yep.
And I'm not looking for the assignment.
We want to do completion date, right? Completion date. I think they're
that is option listed
can't remember what
for
it's
the
called.
completion date.
Could be called. Yeah, but it's a filter.
See, I have found on the field filters, if you go over to your right and add filter under past, and click the arrow.
The one
arrow
underneath.
underneath.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and then type in training start date there, and it will show up.
Perfect. Tracy's really been getting involved in these reports, and this is what led us to
Yeah.
share these with all of you because she's been working on her
So
group.
select some of the different field types here for it to
Gotcha.
show up, but yes. So you list a training start date, and you might want to say, look for on and after, say
July 1
July 1st.
of 20.
Right.
So we're going to go back.
Yeah.
They also want to have an end date. We're just looking for to
Most
present.
of them are looking for the report for this whole year.
Okay, so up to the. But if you were to look for a certain range, a period, then you would do the same thing. Training start date, and you can is on or before, and then a date, and then you give it an end date.
Which we got to change it.
It.
Had 2 training start dates.
He did. He
I
did
did.
end date.
I moved it.
That'll work.
Yeah, very cool.
And so if you want to actually view it, if you actions, a preview, new window, click on corner. Oh, that's not good.
I'm going to put just.
If you need to add a column underneath there for training start date in your, where it's there, scroll over and add it blank, training start date. And start anything from your parameter of July 1.
Hendricks.
Mm-hmm.
Sam.
Hey.
Yeah, so what is, I think I've got a field that is not.
Yeah, that's interrupting
Yeah.
it.
All right. I'm actually removing the subrecipient. So that
In the
way it's
past,
not
maybe?
filtering. Yeah.
That past field.
Well, that's actually looking for everybody that has actually completed the training.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's why it's in there is because they have passed it, and that's kind of the terminology that the PD pool is looking for complete the
I
training.
did not know that. Okay.
Yes.
I thought it was just training completed
And
dates.
that's where I've got passed and then equal to true.
Okay.
And if you know, it's
Oh, now, yeah.
showing up quite a few names.
Okay.
And it has all the subrecipients listed down here. If we look at it by an Excel document.
It's easier. There we go.
And like as an Excel document. Kind of summarize to where it has everybody's name listed in bold, but underneath that it has each of their trainings that they have completed, the usual hours, as well as it. Okay, it actually does not have the tours, so I'll have to create this one. This is actually the original report before I changed it and gave it to all the PD specialists and then sent it to everybody else. So this one's a little bit different. This was the original one. And I asked a question about will there be another session.
Mara's asking if we'll have a session on this at Taylor. Can we do it when we meet? We can certainly sit down with anybody that's interested and show you how to do that.
So this briefly how to maybe change a little bit of the report that you have. So that way you kind of see what goes behind it. And if you want to get in and try to play around with this and add some different fields or manipulate the fields as needed, as I mentioned before, you can change the report. Even as I've opened up this one, I can turn in a training report or a user report instead of a transcript report. Each three of these have different parameters, different fields that they will allow you to look for. The thing with the PD portal is that you've just got to kind of hunt for the specific things that you want to show up in your report. Sometimes it takes just getting in and looking for what's available that you can use to look for information for your report. Once you get done with this, you want to save it, because if you close it, it's not going to save what I have so far. So make sure you save it.
Yeah, we bad way.
Yeah. Because if you spend a lot of time making changes and then you don't save it, then you're doing it all over again.
He and I both have experienced that. It's very frustrating.
And once you save it, you close. Now I have this on my main folder that I'm going to put it into the one that we're today, and you'll see the original one report that, and then the copy, which is made by today using George's out.
It's right.
Now.
I'm sorry, Stephen. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. It's in a.
It's just going to say you have shared these already with the PD coordinators. Is that correct?
Yes, everybody should have this. If you don't, then just inform so that way we can get it into your PD portal account. Or if you're having trouble opening it, because when you open it up, it should say copy and refresh. If it says copy, then that means you can make a copy and you can edit. But if you don't have the word copy, then for some reason you haven't been given the permissions yet, and we'll have to give you permissions to be able to make changes to the report.
Okay.
But as of now, you can at least go in and you can look at the report, and if there is any fields that you would like for us to help you with adding, if you don't have the dates and you're having trouble creating the dates, then you can let us know, and we'll go in there and add those for you, or at least walk you through it. And that would be the best thing. If you would contact me, call me, and I can just actually walk you through on the phone, so that you do it yourself and you're more familiar with change reports as well as possibly creating reports to do more on your own.
And have Stephen set up a quick where we can give you the rights, and you can, he can follow along as and show you it so you can do it yourself. I do have a couple of handouts in the PD coordinators community of practice that I think one of them was how to run a transcript report. So until we can meet with you at Taylor, or for those who need a refresher or just want some one-on-one time, until we can do that for you, you can always go to the PD coordinators committee of practice under the How Do I topic, and I think there's a topic there that I did a screenshot step-by-step of how to run a transcript report.
So was there any further questions?
Yeah,
or...
Susan Sanchez is saying she doesn't have copy on her actions drop-down menu.
Okay. So she may not have permission. She may not have been included in that list
Yeah,
of
we may
people.
not have added her. I'll make this Susan. Hold on. And the rest of you, make sure you have that. And don't send us an email, because as PD coordinators have changed and updated, we may have dropped the ball here and neglected to add you that list. So we want to make sure we have that updated properly. Yes, ma'am.
Go back to anything?
That's what I'm wondering. Do you have any other questions? I know it was quick.
Because I can do a little bit more. I'll have my portal open, or we can find in case there's other things, but we can look at doing this again if need be, or I can help you individually if need be.
Let it sit with these folks for a while. Let them see if they can play around with it after we get off the webinar today, and then contact you directly. And Stephen, if you find that there are a lot of folks who are still having some problems, maybe we can sometime next week set up another time to have another webinar just on custom reports.
Okay.
And Deb,
Yes, ma'am.
just wanted to share too that Laura had a good comment in the chat pod, and she said that this may be a topic for the Genius Hour.
Genius Hour.
And that was a great comment
Yeah.
in the chat pod. So just wanted to draw that out.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, and thank you very much. And again, we're trying to miss you terribly, but we know you're going on to bigger and better things in your life's passion, so we only wish you the best.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, everybody.
Yep. All right, I'm all back. Sorry, the presenter rights is teaching me the proper language. And I wanted to talk about, I had Beth up here on the screen as updating, but Beth is actually hosting the Teams virtual webinar, so I'm just going to share a couple of things. Andy, please pipe in, or John, if there's anything else to add. But on Beth's behalf, the content standards roll out the third phase training. The webinar is January 25th or January 26th. You only have to pick one. Different dates, you can register for that in the portal, in the training calendar. The face-to-face training, as most of you know, is that Saturday of Taylor. It's from 8 to 2, and you can register for that face-to-face training in the portal. And then we have a director's webinar scheduled for February 8th at 10:30 a.m. Amy or John, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that before I move forward.
John, go ahead.
This is John. I just wanted to bring up, there were some questions about those instructional coaches who are not planning to attend TAY, and they're asking if they have to register for TAY in order to attend this. And the answer is no, they don't. But they'll so a lunch provided that day, which is only for Taylor members. So if you haven't registered for Taylor and you're not a member, then you'll have to eat lunch on your own that day.
Right. Within the financial constraints, we encourage you to support Taylor, but if you don't have the funds for that, just make sure that you tell that coach that their lunch would be on their own.
Question that came in the chat pod, John, let you reposted it. Is the gap analysis report due date? Did I dream that it has been postponed until the 31st?
Sorry to tell you, it was not postponed. The gap analysis is due on January 15th. We're already starting to receive some. Thank you to those who have already submitted it early.
Real quickly before we leave this slide, Deb, I just wanted to really reiterate that those two different dates for the coaches webinar on the 25th and the 26th, that was made available per request from from some of the coaches that were having difficulty with the time schedule, and registration is already available. So it's one or the other, but there are two choices now.
Oh, wonderful. I can accommodate. Questions on content standards? The reports, as you know, will move forward with Steve. Some of the things that Laura shared as the PD portal coordinator, these are some things that were just added to the portal. These are Tech and Tells that we're excited. Coming soon, I think this one's going to be ready tomorrow, the Global Skill of English Part 2, but these are some of the topics that are now available. Again, these are recordings, so there will be some questions that they'll have to answer to make sure that they actually watched the Tech and Tell webinars. Those are some courses that have just been added to the portal. As these 4 courses, these are focused on the GED curriculum. These were created prior to the agreement that we would offer a different test, but because some of you are currently, of course, still using the GED, we'd go ahead and put these courses in the portal. You can certainly use the instructional strategies you're teaching students that are going to be taking the other options. But we're excited to have these 4 in the portal. Just some extra stuff for your teacher to be able to participate in to get their professional development. Anne-Marie, would you like to talk about your Tech and Tell schedule?
Yes, I would. Just very quickly, everybody. It's going to be an exciting couple months for Tech and Tells. We actually are going to be featuring local teachers, local talent, as well as bringing in some statewide professional development trainers. But I did want to just mention that Google Classroom with Tiffany Lee, she did a great job last week. She's going to be back this week for part 2 of Google Classroom. I sent that announcement out earlier today. We sent out, and it is a very good hands-on using Google Classroom, and she is really put a phenomenal presentation. So I want to thank Tiffany again because I know she's on the call. And we are actually bringing back a presenter by the name of Sue Dalla, who's Pearson Learning, and it's actually the education side, not the commercial side. And she's going to be presenting on Global Scale of English, which is an ESL resource, but talking about differentiated instruction. I'm looking forward to that. She's been working on these presentations for over a month. And so Train PD is looking forward to bringing that to you at the end of January. And then the first part of February, I am very excited to announce that we have another teacher presenting for the first time on Tech and Tell, Christina Oliveira from Naval College. And very excited about this. And she's actually an ESL teacher during the day with a K through 12. And she is going to be sharing the amazing things she does using video with ESL students. So very excited to be welcoming Christy to Tech and Tell in February. Okay, next slide. We have some national talent coming to us in the first part of March. And Cynthia Peters from World Education is going to be presenting on a specific issue of the change agent. For those of you that are not familiar with the change agent, probably many of you are, it's an adult education magazine for social justice and upward mobility of minority groups. And so this is going to be on the career pathways issue in March, and so more to come on that. and registration will be available soon in the PD portal.
And one thing I wanted to mention, Anne-Marie, that I neglected to mention to you is we have a library subscription, a library classroom subscription to the Change Agent. And I'm sitting here counting, I want to say 16 or 17 copies of that particular issue that we're going to try and send out to the first come, first serve, whoever signs up first for this course. We'll send those out so they'll have a hard copy as she's going through.
Thank you
That'll
so
be
much.
exciting.
Also, thank you. And then I do also see questions in the chat pod, but I do want to talk about that briefly. Des, thank you. She's going to make available special for Texas the support materials that go with the issue of the Career Pathways edition.
Oh, good.
And so we're working on that right now too. And so look for more information on that. And then I want to go back. Laura in our office had a good question. The Global Scale of English was offered earlier this summer, and that was a part 1 and a part 2 as well. And that really is the foundation of what she's going to be doing in this second part 1 and part 2. You don't have to have been through the first one, Global Scale of English, that she did earlier this year, Sarah Dilla, but it won't hurt. But the new Global Scale of English is focused on differentiated instruction and how you differentiate materials and lessons for multi-level classrooms. So it stands on its own.
To remind you that we did add the Tech and Tell buttons for easier access. So anytime you're interested in looking at the Tech and Tells, you can click on that button on the page of the portal. Thank you, Amy. Last thing that we wanted to talk about are these Teams 3.2 virtual webinars that you're all familiar with. There's one going on right now that Mahala is presenting. These are an hour to an hour. It was like an hour and a half, hour and 15-minute webinars. Every Monday and Thursday in January, except for next Monday, which is a federal holiday. The thing about this is you have to have a prerequisite. The prerequisite is that you have to have watched the two Teams webinars that Carrie did last fall, I think last summer and last fall. You have to have watched those and be able to pass the test. Now, we've set a little differently in the portal, and I'm going to advance to the next slide. So you don't go to the calendar and register for the webinar yet. The first thing you do is you go to the portal and you search for Teams virtual webinar pretest. This is assuming you've already watched those webinars. If you feel confident that you can pass the pretest, then you go to the search box and you type in Teams virtual webinar pretest. The results box will bring up these two items. This is the first one this is what you want to touch on right here, Teams virtual webinar pretest. Don't ever click on this one because that's going to do is mess things up. But because we're showing this test, you only have all the tests hidden in a search result page because we don't want people just taking the test. But because we had to make it unhidden, this was also showing up. But this is confusing a few people. So just make sure when you search for Teams virtual webinar pretest that this is the one you click on. Now, if you haven't watched those webinars and you're not confident that you can pass that pretest, we suggest you go ahead and search for Welcome to Teams 3.2 webinar series. This is the curriculum that includes a link to both of those webinars and a test. Now here's the tricky part. You only get one chance. And this isn't Deb, this isn't Train PD, this is TWC. The pretest, you only get one chance. If you fail, you have to take the curriculum. So if you're not confident, go ahead and into the curriculum, watch the two webinars. I think they're about an hour long. It's a total team webinar, a typical webinar that we offer or TWC offers. And then after that, then inside that curriculum is also a test. It's a test, but you get unlimited tries. Just keep that in mind. We do have a couple of people that are getting confused about it, and I just wanted to reiterate, you got to type into SearchPod virtual webinar pretest. Don't go into the calendar and try and click on training. It's not going to let you register. I just want to make sure. And if not, I can have here send out the instructions again that you can pass along to your folks. Selma's asking who is required. John, you're on the call, so I'm assuming TWC is requiring at least one supervisor or program director or data entry person from each program to and then share the information. These are limited to 30 people each session, so it can be interactive with the questions. John, can you add anything to that?
That's pretty much it. Whoever is entering data for the career services would need to take this webinar. It's presented is very complex. I want to be sure that people fully understand not only the procedures in Teams, but the where, why, and wherefore that's behind procedures.
And what I'm saying is, when you go to the events calendar and you see the thing listed, don't click on this yet. And please, your folks, don't click on this yet, because it's not going to let you register until you've already completed the prerequisite information. So, and what's happening is just, like today was like 4 people that are requesting an exemption. Well, I can't exempt them because they didn't do the prerequisite, but they didn't have the proper directions, and we want to make sure that we get those instructions out. So I did see someone's request to go ahead and resend them. I'll hand them over to Harriet and let her send those out on the B coordinator listserv. I think that'd be, yes, the last slide. Does anybody have any questions? I know we've spent a lot of time today trying to get situated. I appreciate your patience. A lot of information to share today. For it to all sink in, and you might have questions after the fact. That too, our email addresses. Mentioning the field to use for establishing a date range in the custom reports is transcript complete date. Be in your report. Oh, thank you, Stephen. But you may need to add it as a filter to filter information for the year or the date range you need. Thank you, Stephen, very much. You have your hand raised?
Sorry, get down.
Oh, okay. That's it for me, Anne-Marie.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Deb, for presenting, and once again, one Happy New Year, and thank you so much for your patience. And we jump from one webinar room into another, and thanks for everyone that presented today and all the great information. And we'll see you on the next webinar. Take care, everybody. I just